Uh, Before we start reading this book, let me share a little bit about it. And one of the reasons why I picked this book, and this is one of my favorites. Probably I read it once, first time about 3 to 4 years ago, and it did transform my life to such an extent that I actually thought of picking it up and read it together with each one of you. Now, let me summarize what is in it for you. So, Don't Believe Everything You Think by Joseph Nguyen enables you or rather empowers you to learn and master how to overcome anxiety, self doubt, and self sabotage without needing to rely on motivation or willpower from external sources. Now, in this book, you'll discover the root cause of all psychological and emotional suffering and how to achieve freedom of mind to effortlessly create the life you have always wanted to live. Although pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. The book offers a completely new paradigm, an understanding of where our human experiences come from, allowing us to end our own suffering and create how we want to feel at any moment. No matter what has happened to you, where you are from, or what you have done, you can still find total peace, unconditional love, complete fulfillment, and an abundance of joy in your life. No person is an exception to this. That is what this book is all about. Darkness only exists because of the light, which means even in our darkest hour, light must exist. Within the pages of this book contains timeless wisdom to empower you with the understanding of our mind's infinite potential to create an experience of life that we want no matter the external circumstances. So don't believe everything you think is not about rewiring your brain. It's not about rewriting your past. It's neither about positive thinking or anything of that sort. We cannot solve our problems with the same level of consciousness that created them. So, this is what this book aims to offer you and me. And let us see how we can discover this for each one of us individually over next couple of months as we read this book. So, I'm sharing the PDF version and let's enjoy reading every word of this book. Read slow, do not read fast. This is a book where I strongly suggest that you apply the philosophy which I share with many people in many of my training sessions or one-on-one session. I say that the best way to enjoy your life is to think slow, think less, and think smart. And if you want to make it even better than that best, then you speak less, speak slow, and speak smart. And this is one philosophy that I would recommend each one of you to apply as you read this book, as you think about every word which is there in this book, and as you leave the book. So, leave the book, actually, leave the book with the author, as if that whatever the author is saying, just believe that जो author बोल रहा है उसको हम believe कर लेते हैं, not for the rest of your lifetime, but at least when you're reading that particular page. Okay, within for at least those minutes, for those uh, hours probably, as you are reading this book and practicing it in your life on a daily basis. And naturally, we will be practicing it from tomorrow onwards during our 6:45 to 7 a.m. session that we do over a WhatsApp call, chapter by chapter. Okay, so let's see how it goes.
Okay, I just joined this randomly, seeing the link. I think today is the first day with this
Yes,
explanation.
yes, yes. Today is the first day.
It's great. So you'll carry forward for multiple Sundays from today, right?
Yes, yes. Only Sundays, 6:30 to about 8 o'clock, kind of. So the
Okay.
way we follow is we read a chapter and then we discuss on that chapter.
Okay, great.
So this book has about 16, 17 chapters. So if we read one chapter a day, probably we might be reading more than one chapter during the Sunday sessions. And let's see when we complete the book. So there is no hurry to complete the book. But this is a book which you need to not only read but to taste it, chew it, and enjoy all the flavors that this book is offering. Okay, so let's start from here. So introduction.
Okay. May I?
Yes, ma'am. Please go
What
ahead.
you will discover in this book and how to get the most out of reading it. The book was written to help you find everything you've been searching for and the answers to all the questions you've had your entire life. I understand this is a very bold statement, but you will shortly see why I have complete confidence in saying this. What I know to be the truth from the depths of my soul is that you will not be the same person as you were after you read this book. The only constant is change. Growth is an inevitable process of life, and it will be impossible for you not to change after reading this book. We cannot change what we are not aware of. And once we are aware, we cannot help the change. Sheryl Sandberg. No matter who you are, where you are from, what your background is, what you've done and haven't done, what status or wealth you do or don't have, Martin or not, you can find total peace, unconditional love, complete fulfillment, and an abundance of joy in your life. I promise that you are not the exception, not even though it may seem like it. Love knows no boundaries. An open mind and a willing heart are all you need to receive every answer you've been looking for. And yes, there are extremely practical implications and byproducts of understanding what is inside of this book, which many of my coaching clients have experienced, such as a 2 to 5x increase in income, exponential growth in their businesses, deeper and more harmonious relationships, overcoming lifelong addictions, the spontaneous disappearance of destructive habits, an increase in health, vitality, and overall energy. Miracles like these occur every day for many who understand the principles within this book. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. If I were to just list some of the improvements and results people have gotten from this understanding, more than half of this book would just be stories of such miracles that happen daily. I'm reluctant to
Okay,
mention any.
let's read one page, everyone. Okay.
Sorry?
Let's read one page at a time
Okay, okay, okay,
and just hand over the baton to somebody.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah, who would like to read from here?
I'm reluctant from there.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I can take. So I'm reluctant to mention any of these external results because it is not the point of this book. These physical manifestations are the byproduct of this inside out understanding of how our experiences of life work. In actuality, we only want these external results like money and significance because we want to experience certain feelings inside, such as love, joy, peace, and fulfillment. The feeling is really what we want in our lives and not the physical things, but the trap is that we believe the physical things will give us those feelings. The secret lies within the feeling. This book will help guide you to understand how you uncover the truth you already know inside and discover these feelings you have been looking for your entire life. Now, let's get into the guide of how to go through this book. Don't read this book for information, read it for insight. Insight is wisdom, can only be found within. That is why it is called insight, which is also said insight. To find everything you're looking for in life, you must look inside yourself and discover the wisdom that already exists within you. All the answers lie deep within your soul. This book is merely a guide to help you look in the right place. I truly admire anyone who still has a hope of who still have has the hope that what they're looking for is still out there. This means you have hope. Without hope, we have nothing. So the fact that you are here reading this now is a testament to your faith, courage, and strength. I know with 100% certainty that you will find what you're looking for if you continue down the path you are on, the hope that you have in your heart. I want to make it clear that this book is not only the book that contains truth, the truth lies with everyone and in everything. You must look beyond the form, which is a physical form, to see the experience, the truth, that is spirituality. The words in this book are not truth, they point to the truth. Look beyond words to see truth for yourself. Truth cannot be intellectualized, it can only be experienced. The truth lies within a feeling, which is why it cannot be formulated into a word. If you want
Okay,
to find the truth,
okay,
look
okay.
beyond the
Let
words
somebody else
and
let somebody else read it.
yeah.
So we'll read one page at a time, one page per person. All right. So who is there? Anybody else? Ankita, would you like to read?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go ahead.
If you want to find the truth, look beyond the words and look for a feeling. Many who discover the truth will describe the feeling as one of complete peace, unconditional love, and an overwhelming amount of joy. People also describe it as the most familiar, unfamiliar feeling. It feels like you are finally home. Look for that feeling, and everything will be revealed to you. In this book, I will not say anything. Shall I read in first person?
As you wish to read it, go ahead.
I will not say anything that I don't already know deep inside my soul. This is why it will be a familiar, unfamiliar feeling when I experience the truth. Don't try to use your intellect to figure it out. I won't. As soon as I intellectualize it, I have missed it. The truth does not come from memorizing a sentence or two. A child can do that, but they will not understand the truth. The truth comes in the form of a feeling. Is that the page over?
Just go ahead a little and
From from that feeling will come the wisdom, the truth I am looking for, which will set me free. That's what uh, we all are ultimately seeking, isn't it? What I will unveil to myself in this book will seem simple. It will seem almost too simple, and my brain or ego will try to fight it or attempt to make it more complex. It will think that it can't be this simple. When that time comes, I want me to remember that the truth is always simple. What is complex can always be broken down into its smaller counterparts. The truth cannot be broken down into smaller constituents, which is what makes it truth. This is why truth is always simple. If I want to find the truth, look for simplicity.
Let's not change the text. We are reading it. We are not interpreting it right now.
Okay. Approach this book with an open mind and a heart of pure intention to know the truth, and you will receive everything you have been searching for. Before we move on, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for you being here and sharing your time and attention with me. Those are some of the most valuable life forces you could give to another. So thank you for that gift to me, which you are all also giving to yourself. Never forget your own divinity, because it is only through our divinity that we have our humanity. With love and light, Joseph.
Wow,
Would
that's
anybody
amazing.
like to take up?
No, I don't have a choice. I don't mind rereading if there's nobody else.
So let me read. So we are on chapter 1. The journey to finding the root cause of suffering. What a beautiful title. People have a hard time letting go of their suffering. Out of a fear of the unknown, they prefer suffering that is familiar. That is thick net hand. There is an important distinction to make when speaking about suffering. When I mention suffering in this book, I am referring to psychological and emotional suffering. There's a way in which no matter what happens in your life, you do not have to suffer emotionally and psychologically. I'm not saying that what we go through is all in our heads or made up. Terrible and unfortunate events happen to people every single day. What I'm saying is that although we experience a lot of pain in our lives, suffering is optional. In other words, pain is unavoidable, but how we react to the events and circumstances that happen in our lives is up to us. And that will dictate whether we suffer or not. Okay, somebody can take it from the next page. Now, I have a suggestion here. That is one of the ways I read books normally, these kind of self help books. And I call it first person singular number context, or it's like I, me, my, myself context. Like when I read this book for myself, I would have read it the way Ankita was talking about. Like probably the first paragraph I will read like this: there is an important distinction to make when speaking about suffering. When I mention suffering in this book, I am referring to psychological and emotional suffering. There is a way in which, no matter what happens in my life, I do not have to suffer emotionally and psychologically. Now, initially, you might find it difficult to read this way, but once you start reading this way, what will happen? You will slowly move, like slowly start getting inside the book, as if you are walking with the author. And once you make it a habit after some time, what will happen? The book will start getting inside you. So author will start getting inside you, and you'll start living the way the author probably lived while he was writing this book. Okay, so this is just my suggestion. When you read it on your own, not in a group.
Yeah, not in a group.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah. So Mangalama, you can take it up from here.
Yes, thank
Just read
you.
one page and then pass it on to Nirupa.
Yes. Buddhists say that anytime we experience a negative event in our lives, two arrows fly our way. Being physically stuck by an arrow is painful. Being stuck by a second emotional arrow is even more painful, that is suffering. The Buddha explained, in life, we can't always control the first arrow. However, the second arrow is our reaction to the first. The second arrow is optional. When I first heard of this quote from Buddha a few years back, I was confounded because although I understood what he meant, I didn't know how I could apply this in my own life. If anyone were given the clear choice of suffering and not the suffering, I don't think anyone in their mind would choose to suffer. How can I just choose not to suffer? If it were as easy that I don't think anyone would if it were as easy as that, I don't think anyone would be suffering anymore. It wasn't until years later that I came across a new understanding of where suffering comes from that I was able to stop it at its source. As I began my journey of self improvement, I came across a myriad of different teachings, studies, and methods to help people overcome their problems. I read dozens, if not hundreds of books, studied psychology, went to therapists, listened to many different thought leaders, tried changing my habits, waking up at 4 a.m., changing my diet, becoming more structured and disciplined, shadow work, studying personality types, meditating daily, going to spiritual retreats, following spiritual masters, and researching different ancient religions. If you name it, I've probably tried it. I was desperate to find an answer because I wanted to know how to stop suffering in my own life as well as help others do the same. Although some of these things did help me improve incrementally, it didn't stop my suffering. Do I stop there or do I finish the para?
Just read the para, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I still always felt extremely anxious, fearful, unfulfilled, irritated, angry, frustrated, and heavy every day. Even after doing all of that, I still didn't discover the answer. And if I'm being honest, I was even more lost than before I started on this quest. Thank you.
Yes,
So
Nirupama, you can go ahead.
I'll just finish that.
Yeah,
I
these are
felt purposeless, hopeless, and directionless. I didn't know what to do anymore, where to look, or what to talk to. It wasn't until I was in my darkest hour that a glimpse of hope began to lead me to the light. All of a sudden, after years and years of searching, I stumbled upon one of my first mentors that taught me how to become a coach, and he revealed to me the answer of how I can alleviate my own suffering. The answer I discovered was in the understanding of how our minds work and how the human experience is created. Thank you.
awesome.
It's very strong. The last sentences are very, very strong.
Yes, and when I read this book, the only word I replaced in this whole book is this word HELP. I replaced it with another beautiful word which is EMPOWER.
Oh,
You read that para and just replace this help with empower and you see what happens. Just read one of the paras where he is mentioning the word help and you replace
help.
it with the word empower.
Where is the word help?
So let me read this. Like if you name it, you just read this para. If you name it, I have
If,
probably tried it.
if you name it, I've probably tried it. I was desperate to find an answer because I wanted to know how to stop suffering in my own life as well as help others do the same.
Now
Although
replace this word help with
Oh, sorry.
empower.
So I'll read you. If you name it, I've probably tried it. I was desperate to find an answer because I wanted to know how to stop suffering in my own life as well as empower others to do the same. Oh, although some of these things did empower me improve incrementally, it didn't stop my suffering. I still always felt extremely anxious, fearful, unfulfilled, irritated, angry, frustrated, and heavy every day. Even after doing all of that, I still didn't discover the answer. And if I'm being honest, I was even more lost than before I started on this quest. Thank you. It's wonderful. When you change that one word, I think it changes your entire perspective. That things are still within our hands, that there is hope. That means where there is darkness, there is always light. At the end of a dark tunnel, there is always light, like it's like that. I think it's very, you feel he's talking of negativity, but he's talking of positivity, I think. Wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. Like even he was saying that there's nothing called negative. Either it is positive or it is not so positive.
Yeah.
Negative does not exist. Negative is something which is not so positive.
Yeah, it's the
The moment,
lowest end of positivity.
yeah, the moment you reframe any weak negative words with a strong positive word, that negativeness or the weakness of that word or that experience, it simply vanishes. In fact, it completely vanishes.
Yes.
What Nguyen is talking about is something very, very basic with neuro-linguistic programming. Like NLP says that every word is stored in our brain as an internal representation. And if we go a little deeper, you'll discover that every word is stored in our brain as an emotion, as a feeling. So you think of elephant and you will feel that elephant. You feel the emotion which is your emotions associated with that word called elephant. And that's why when you ask somebody to, like, if there are 10 people sitting along with you and you just ask them to write one sentence on elephant, you will find they are all writing 10 different sentences. They will never be the same. One of the best way to discover this is to asking people what problem is all about, what you think a problem is all about, and just write one sentence about it. And you will be surprised that there are 8 billion people in this planet, and there are 8 billion definitions of this word called problem. Because that is how they feel what a problem is all about. That is how they have stored the emotions of the feelings of that comes with the word problem in their life. So, this is the foundation of this chapter, the journey to finding the root cause of suffering. So, whenever that meaning does not match, my meaning of something is not matching with the meaning of somebody else, that is the starting point of the sufferings in most cases. And it is so subtle that sometimes we don't even notice it. No, we think "यार, उसको ऐसा क्यों लग रहा है? This is not true. मुझे जो लग रहा है वही सच है. And I must prove it. Even if it is not to that person, at least to me, myself. And that small thing जिसको इन्होंने बोला है ego, कि I am right, मैं जो सोच रहा हूँ वही right है. That ego that he is talking about is that feeling. You just need to catch yourself that what is prompting you not to agree with whatever the other person is saying. And you don't need to agree with everything what the other person is saying. But at the same time, you don't need to disagree either. And create or like allowing or empowering your ego to hurt you yourself.
Yeah. Oh,
We'll deal with this in detail in next few chapters.
I can I put in a little
Yes,
word
ma'am.
here?
Yes, ma'am.
In Western philosophy, when I was doing studying philosophy, there was something called existentialism. And this was some philosophy which was very strong after the world wars because the entire world had suffered. And existential means people exist, but they don't, but their reactions are different. right? So to anything which is an extreme in life, like missing a person or seeing someone who is suffering or the world, but the reaction is very different. And as over here, one of the greatest authors who started this movement of existentialism was an author called Albert Camus, that is the English pronunciation, but he's originally French, so I have read him, and he's pronounced as Albert Camus. The last S is not pronounced. Now, Albert Camus was the one who came up with this movement of existentialism, and he gave his own example. And in that book, where he's talking of suffering, he says it was a real life example which he's sharing, where his mother is dead. Okay, why she's dead, that is a different story. And then he says, okay, now she's dead. I don't have to react and spoil my life. It's not that he's being indifferent, but his reaction to even the extreme form is so different. You know, that suffering, what we call, is physical, but the emotional reaction, what Buddha talks in terms of the second arrow, is what changes. It's not that he doesn't feel, it's not that he doesn't have love for his mother, but the way he reacted is, he says, yes, I'm going towards my mother, now I'm going to bury her, but the the reaction is like, yes, I love her, I have extreme things, but I exist, and this is more important. So there is what we call, at the end of the tunnel there is darkness, that in darkness also there is a ray of hope. So it is again the same thoughts, but which are very powerfully expressed. Thank you.
Wow, awesome. Yes, Nirupama, Ankita.
Yeah.
What is Nirupama's profession?
Myself, I work for a aerospace company in Bangalore.
Okay, so you're an engineer.
No, I am from communications,
From?
corporate communication.
Okay.
Okay, so I should read next.
No, you
No, we are just
express.
discussing on what we read.
Okay. I think Mangala shared very beautiful insight from her other readings and this readings as well. And Pinaki, that you told one thing that, right, let's write down the problem that we are facing right now, and there are millions of people sailing in the same boat. So that is something which I have written down, and I thought I will come up with what I need to work on, and I will check what are the multiple availabilities of that, to work on that. These are the two things my takeaway. And one more which I have wrote down today is think slow, think less, speak smart. Speak
Hmm.
slow, speak less, speak smart. So that also written down.
Yeah, I think it just reinforces that the existence of the individual person is that individuals are, we are free, we are responsible agents, and we have to develop ourselves through our will. And this will is what comes into the picture, I think, when he talks of these things.
Mm. Good. And also it starts from saying, it's not like, like I was noting what Pinaki was saying with his summary. It's not about rewiring the brain. It's not about thinking about the past, not about solving a problems or with the same level of consciousness that we made this. So it's not about everything. So I find this book is going to hold something unique, key takeaways from this book going forward. I was also simultaneously reading FELD group deep work. That is more of rewiring a brain, but here clearly says it's not about rewiring your brain. And
Yeah, probably it's about resetting the mind first before.
everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So clearly looking forward to it. But Pinaki, since it is only every Sunday sessions, and how do we
Hmm.
go about it? I mean, how do we remember what we read? How do we connect this book for the period of 17 chapters, so 17 weeks?
It's not
How
17 weeks. We'll be reading one more or two more chapters depending upon the length of the chapters. Yeah. The what we can do additionally, that's something that some of us do on every morning from Monday to Friday. We connect on a WhatsApp call from 6:45 a.m. to 7 a.m. and As we read one chapter, we just practice it throughout the day whenever we want to practice it or however we want to practice it. And the next morning, we just come and share our experience. That
It's
what,
45 to 7 people connect, isn't it? Okay.
yeah, it's only for 15 minutes.
Oh, that's great. Then I think that is good.
So
So
you
I
can be a
have this
part of
book at
that
home.
community.
Yeah,
Pardon?
this is a white color book, I guess. I have this book at home, so I can also start reading it at home.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
physical book. Mm.
yeah, absolutely. So you just read the chapter, practice it, and then you come back in that 6:45 a.m. session and share your experience. That what you did, what is one thing that you did. Like for example, I suggested that you replace the word help with empower, and you see what happens. And now, see, people don't want help or they don't want support. Like if we provide help or support to anybody, we are not empowering that person. Rather, we are just continuing with the person to following the same habit that person has, to ask for help, to ask for support. Now, if we can help that person to empower himself, he don't need to or she don't need to come back for help and support for the same thing ever in his or her life for the rest of his life or her life. That's how I think. That's why I say that there was an industry called self-help industry which was there before COVID. Then during the COVID, a new industry came up to support that self-help industry, which is self-education industry. So everybody was reading, everybody was educating themselves, and this a whole bunch of coaches they came up to coach people. And then I came up with a beautiful thought that, and I shared a video on that also, that you are your best teacher, you're your best trainer, you're your best coach, you're your best mentor. And the proof is very clear. You are in the same class with the same set of students. The teacher is talking on the same topic. She is sharing or he is sharing her own experiences. By the time when you sit for the exam, not all of you score the same marks. Reason being that you could reproduce only that much what you have taught yourself, what you have trained yourself, what you have coached yourself, what you have mentored yourself. So you are your best coach, best teacher, best trainer, best mentor. And I am practicing it with 2,000 students in two schools, and the results are phenomenal. Children have been taught that don't trust your teacher, trust yourself. Because teacher is doing her own job. Unless you reproduce it on your own or you are getting the message, it's not yours. It still remains with the teacher. And so when children are coming up with their own thoughts, or when they are saying that I didn't understand this, the first thing that teacher or the child or his friends are asking him, क्या समझ में आया पहले ये बता, है ना, क्या समझ में नहीं आया वो छोड़, समझ में क्या आया. So they are reading the same chapter word by word, sentence by sentence, and sharing what they are getting out of that meaning, that sentence, what meaning they are making out of it. And then that point comes कि मुझे यहाँ से समझ में नहीं आया. So now you read and then you say अब क्या समझ में आ रहा है. And that's how they are empowering themselves to understand things, to listen carefully, read carefully, and magic is happening. So I'll share one day about that experience, that what magic we are creating in these two schools. So yes, so the next step was that, and eventually, if you all remember that when I started my coaching journey, I said that let us focus on something very interesting, which is self-empowerment industry, which nobody is talking about. So I thought about creating that industry. So every training program which I conduct or every conversation which I have with people, my only focus is self-empowerment. So if I can encourage somebody to empower himself or herself, and such that that person can encourage, motivate, and inspire himself or herself on her own, I believe the job is done, because that is what everybody is looking for, to motivate, inspire, and encourage himself or herself at any given point of time, whatever be the situation, whatever be the uh, picture around his or her life at that point of time. So this is one of the book which helped me, or rather empowered me, to replace these two words, help and support, from my life. So I prefer using the word empower in all my conversations, wherever people are looking for help or support. So you can practice it for a day and then you can see what difference it brings. So this is the kind of activities that we do, and we come up. on the next day and share our experience for 1 minute, 2 minutes. That's it. Good. Let's go ahead with the second chapter, and so you can start reading it.
And what he says is very true. Read the book slowly because
Hmm.
as you're reading it, you tend to reflect, you tend to absorb what he's saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, Nirupama, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Chapter 2, the root cause of all suffering. One who looks around him is intelligent, one who looks within him is wise. Told by Machuna.
Read a little slow.
Hmm?
Read a little slow.
Okay. We live in a world of thought, not reality. Sydney Banks once said, thought is not reality, yet it is through thought that our realities are created. Each of us lives through our own perceptions of the world, which are vastly different from the person right next to us. An example of this is that you could be sitting in a coffee shop having a quarter life existential crisis, completely stressed out of your mind about how you have no idea what you're doing with your life when it seems like everyone else has theirs together, while the person next to you is happily enjoying the freshly brewed drink while peacefully people watching. You both are in the same exact coffee shop, smelling the same aroma, surrounded by the same strangers, but how the world looks to both of you couldn't be more different. Many of us go through the exact same events or are in the same location at the same time, yet are having completely different experiences of the world. Here's another example of how we lived in a world of thought and not reality. If you walk up to 100 different people and ask each of them what money means to them, how many different answers do you think you'll get? Close to 100 different answers. Money is technically the same thing, but it means something different to each person. Money could mean time, freedom, opportunity, security, peace of mind, or it could mean evil, greed, and the reason why people commit crimes for now, and the people why commit crimes. For now, I'm not going to get into which one is right or wrong. There is no right or wrong answer, but that's for a different chapter.
Mhm.
Another illustration of this concept is as follows. If you survey 100 different people and ask each of them what they think of your current president, how many different answers do you think you'll get? Even though it is the same exact person we are talking about, we will get 100 different answers because most people live in their own thoughts and perceptions of the world. The meaning or thinking we can give an event is what determines how we ultimately feel about it. That meaning or thinking is a filter through which we see life from then on. Because of this, we live in through a perception of reality and not in reality itself. Reality is that the event happened with no meaning, thinking, or interpretation out of it. Any meaning or thinking we give the event is on us, and that is how a perception of reality is created. This is how our experience of life is created from the inside out. It's not about the events that happen in our lives, but our interpretation of them, which causes us to feel good or bad about something. So, this is how people in third world countries can be happier than people in the first world countries. And people in the first world countries can be more miserable than people in the third world countries. Our feelings do not come from external events, but from our own thinking about the events. Therefore, we can only ever feel what we are thinking. Let's hypothetically say that you are really
Yeah, yeah.
hating your
Just
job.
hand it over to Ankita.
Yeah.
Let's read one page each. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just to stop here, what is first world country and third world country?
Developed and undeveloped.
Okay.
Not undeveloped, underdeveloped.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
Yes, Ankita, please go ahead. let's
Let's hypo-
hypothetically.
let's hypothetically say that you really hate your job and it causes you an enormous amount of stress, anxiety, and frustration. It pains you to even set foot in the building where you work, and just thinking about your job makes you furious. When you are thinking about your job, you are sitting there on a sofa with your family watching a TV show together, but you are fuming at the thought of your job. Everyone else, I faced this yesterday. Everyone else is having a good time except you. In this moment, everyone else in your family is having a different experience of life than you, even though the same event is happening. Just the thought of work created a whole different perception of reality, even though you are not physically at work. If it were true that external events cause us to feel the way we feel inside, then you should be a happy camper in your living room, watching a funny TV show with your family every single time you do this activity. But that's not the case. Now, you may be saying that you are only feeling this way because an external event, your job, is causing you to feel stressed and anxious. To that, I will ask the question: is it absolutely true that every single person feels the exact same way about the job they are working in?
Mhm.
Two different people can be doing the exact same job but will have completely different experiences of that job. It can be the most amazing experience and a dream job for one person, but be another person's worst nightmare and living hell. The only difference between one person and the other person and the other is how they think about their job, which determines how they ultimately feel about it. Now let's go back to the original scenario of you hypothetically hating your job. Remember how much stress, anxiety, and frustration it causes you when you think about it. Let's do a quick thought experiment about that by answering the question below. Shall I continue? I think one
Yeah,
thing is
pass it on to
missing.
Mangala, ma'am.
Mangala ma'am, please take it over.
Yeah. If you uh, take 1 minute, who would you who would you be without that thought that you hated your job? Take 1 minute to see what comes up for you and don't move on until you do that. If you don't overthink it and truly let the answer surface from within you, without that thought, you will most likely feel and be happy, peaceful, free, and light. Without our usual thinking about a particular event or thing, our experience of it completely alters. This is how we live in a world of thought, not reality, and how our perception of reality is created from the inside out through our own thinking. When this new understanding, you've just uncovered the cause of all our human psychological suffering. The root cause of our suffering is our own thinking. Now, before you throw this book across the room and light it on fire, I'm not saying that this is all in our heads and that it isn't real. Our perception of reality is very real. We will feel what we think, and our feelings are real. That is completely undeniable. However, our thinking will look like an inevitable unchangeable reality to us until we begin seeing how our reality is created. If we know that we can only ever feel what we are thinking, then we know that we can change our feelings by changing our thinking. Thus, we can change our experience of life by knowing that it comes from our own thinking. And if that is true, then we are ever only one thought away from experiencing something different and transforming our entire lives at any moment through a state of no thought. In short, the moment we stop thinking is when our happiness begins. A young monk and the empty boat, a Zen story about how thinking is the cause of our own suffering. Do I continue?
Let me read.
Yeah.
The Young Monk and the Empty Boat, a Zen story about how thinking is the cause of our own suffering. A long time ago, a young Zen monk was living in a small monastery that was located in a forest which was near a small lake. The monastery was occupied by a few senior monks, while the rest were newcomers and still had much to learn. The monks had many obligations in the monastery, but one of the most important ones was their daily routine, where they had to sit down, close their eyes, and meditate in silence for hours at a time. After each meditation, they had to report their progress to their mentor. The young monk had difficulty staying focused during his meditation practice for a variety of reasons, which made him very mad. After the young monk reported his progress, or better said, lack of it, to his mentor, the elder monk asked the young monk a simple question that had a hidden lesson. Do you know what is really making you angry? The young monk replied, well, usually as soon as I close my eyes and begin to meditate, there is something moving around and I can't focus. I get agitated that someone is disturbing me, even though they know that I am meditating. How can they not be more considerate? And then, when I close my eyes again and try to focus, a cat or a small animal might brush past and disturb me again. By this point, even when the wind blows and the tree branches make noise, I get angry. If that is not enough, the birds keep on chirping, and I can't seem to find any peace in this place. The elder monk simply pointed out to his pupil, I see that you become angrier with each interruption you encounter. This is exactly the opposite of what is the point of your task when meditating. You should find a way not to get angry with people or animals or anything around you that disturbs you during your task. After their consultation, the young monk went out of the monastery and looked around to find a place that would be quieter so that he could meditate peacefully. He found such a place at the shore of the lake that is nearby. He brought his mat, sat down, and started meditating. But soon a flock of birds splashed down in the lake near where the monk was meditating. Hearing their noise, the monk opened his eyes to see what was going on. Although the bank of the lake was quieter than the monastery, there were still things that would disturb his peace, and he again got angry. Even though he didn't find the peace he was looking for, he kept returning to the lake. Then one day, the monk saw a boat tied at the end of a small pier. And right then, an idea hit him. Why don't I take the boat, row it down to the middle of the lake, and meditate there? In the middle of the lake, there will be nothing to disturb me. He rowed the boat to the middle of the lake and started meditating. Yes, Nirupam, you start reading from here.
Ankita, it has to be you. Okay, since there's nobody, I
Okay,
think we've already read enough now. I think we should really just finish this story.
Yeah,
Can
Ankita,
I?
go ahead.
As he
so
had
when it is, yeah, Manoj.
As he had expected, there was nothing in the middle of the lake to disturb him, and he was able to meditate the whole day. At the end of the day, he returned to the monastery. This continued for a couple of days, and the monk was thrilled that he had finally found a place to meditate in peace. He hadn't felt angry and could continue the meditation practice in a calm manner. On the third day, the monk sat in the boat, rowed to the middle of the lake, and started meditating again. A few minutes later, he heard some splashing of water and felt that the boat was rocking. He started getting upset, and that even in the middle of the lake, there was someone or something disturbing him. When he opened his eyes, he saw a boat heading straight towards him. He shouted, "Steer your boat away, or else you will hit my boat." But the other boat kept coming straight at him and was just a few feet away. He yelled again, but nothing changed, and so the incoming boat hit the monk's boat. Now he was furious. He screamed, "What are you? Sorry, who are you? And why have you hit my boat in the middle of this vast lake?" There was no answer. This made the young monk even angrier. He stood up to see who was in the other boat, and to his surprise, he found that there was no one in the boat. The boat had probably drifted along in the breeze and had bumped into the monk's boat. The monk found his anger dissipating. It was just an empty boat. This was no one to get angry at. At that moment, he remembered his mentor's question: "Do you know what is reality making you angry?" And then wondered, it's not other people, situations, or circumstances. It's not the empty boat, but my reaction to it that causes my anger. All the people or situations that make me upset and angry are just like the empty boat. They don't have the power to make me angry without my own reaction. The monk then rowed the boat back to the shore. He returned to the monastery and started meditating along with the other monks. There were still noises and disturbances around, but the monk treated them as empty boat and continued to meditate peacefully. When the elder monk saw the difference, he simply said to the young monk, "I see that you have found what is really making you angry and overcome that." So it is not the external forces may be the cause, but the ultimate depth and extension depends on our frame of mind and perception. That is what it is, I think. So it is the Buddha story that the first arrow is physical, the second is emotional. That is more relevant. So if we cannot control physical, but we can control emotional. So ultimately, it is being more responsible, being more what I am, and what you said, not help me, but empower me. And that would bring about not a change, but a transformation in my life. Thank you. I think we should stop here. We've read enough.
You know, the most powerful sentence which I found in this chapter is this one.
It
There
was,
was no one to get angry at. To express your anger, you need someone. When there is no one, you can never become angry.
yeah,
आप इसको प्रैक्टिस करके देखना. You know, I actually practiced it honestly, sincerely, uh, like religiously, with full being fully conscious, staying fully consciously connected with myself, with those thoughts. I discovered that I feel angry only when there is someone in front of me or near me with whom I can express my anger to.
So I think all emotions, you're talking of anger, but I'm talking in terms of, see, anger, love, frustration, happiness, positive emotions or negative emotions. When we live at the level of emotions, there has to be something, somebody, or a situation which is both the cause of my anger or my feeling or emotion, and also me to react and express it. So emotions are both which come from outside, and deeper I reinforce them, but I need to share my feelings or express myself or physically be violent, or I don't know how. I'm talking of both emotions which are positive and negative. I need something or someone on whom with whom to share or on whom to express myself. It is at the emotional level things are very different, but when I think in terms of thoughts, my thoughts could be my own, but my emotions are not my own. This is what I think. Thank you.
Well, your emotions are also your own. Yes, Nirupama,
Yeah,
please
your
add.
reactions are your own.
Yeah, Nirupama, go ahead.
I said, well said. It was good to hear what Mangla said.
Yeah, see, your emotions are outcomes of your meaning making of whatever is happening in your life, and your emotions rules your actions. Anyway, let's close discussion on this, and I would suggest that you just focus on this one sentence. There was no one to get angry at. So observe that whenever you are getting angry, what is happening? That whom you want to express that anger on. ना किसी के साथ तो आपको बोलना पड़ेगा ना. Somewhere it is impacting your ego, and to satisfy your ego you will do something to express that I'm not happy with this and this should be like this. In fact, most of these things are associated with this beautiful six-letter word called should. SHOULD. Things should be like this, people should be like this, situation should be like this. And because of that should, वो छोटा सा ego जो है वो activate हो जाता है. And that ego converts into anger when you find somebody around you. तो आप कम से कम उसको सुना सकते हो, बोल सकते हो. It's not to hurt that person, but at least to express you need someone around you. Otherwise, there is no point getting angry. किसको आप दिखाओगे कि like it is not satisfying my ego. So just work on this one sentence and see what magic you can create for yourself. That's all my invitation for all of you to this first session of this wonderful journey that we have just started. Hopefully, we can complete this book in next 8 weeks. Let's see how it goes. That's all I have to share. Anybody would like to add to this can add, and then we can close the session. Last few words from anybody? Ankita, Nilkumar?
That's it. I think we're good to go.
All right.
Thanks.
So make your week amazing.
Thank
You know,
you. You
Thank
all.
you. Thank you. Goodbye,
keep empowering
everybody.
yourself, keep empowering others.
Yes, thank you, sir. So tomorrow at 6:45. Thank you.
6:45. Okay, bye.